Hi everyone, Crush the Knee Skulltano here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of the new Portal album, Avow. This is the newest LP from Blackened Noise death outfit Portal, who hail from Australia and are responsible for some of the most hellish sounds to come out of the metal underground in the last 10 years. Vexavoid, Swarth, Outre, absolutely unforgiving albums that feel like being slowly swallowed into an interdimensional void. Or, in the case of the band's previous record, Ion, being pumped full of tens of thousands of volts of electricity, but for some reason it doesn't kill you, so it just kind of goes on shocking you forever. Considering how much of a change aesthetically and performance-wise that record was for Portal, I was pretty excited to see what shape Avow would take, as Portal is nothing if not full of surprises, because they dropped another record in tandem with this one. Hag Bulbia is the title, I believe, and it features 5 noise/ambient pieces that take the band's usual aesthetic mayhem but distill it down into these much more abstract, boundaryless pieces. And even though many fans are talking about this record as if it's just a side piece, there are some genuinely sick moments on it. For example, on the track Webtoon, the band still delivers a really hellish, tortured sound that is so brooding and so immense, but without those throttling guitars and drums. Then the closing track, Hexaduce, is even more enveloping in its bright, shimmering, distorted walls of sound. There are actually some relatively prominent guitars and drums on this track too. They're just kind of set in the back mix-wise and soaked in reverb, it sounds like. I mean, whatever it is the band does to get things to sound this demonic and this grating and this cavernous and this evil. But then what about Avow? What about this record? To be as straightforward as I possibly can be, I think for Portal, this one's a bit of a dud. Don't get me wrong, by general metal standards, this thing is far gnarlier and nastier than much of anything else coming out this year. But Avow pales in comparison to the entirety of the band's back catalog in some very apparent ways. Relatively speaking, this is probably Portal's cleanest and most direct sounding record to date. As a listener, I'm kind of shocked to find that these tracks are pretty low effort for me when it comes to just figuring out what's going on, making out instrumentally and compositionally what exactly is happening. And not that an artist must seek to confuse or aggravate the audience in order to make a good record, but in the case of Portal, noise and atmosphere and just disorienting audio has been their namesake for a while now. And if that element is exiting stage right, what is it being replaced by? Now, in a way, I feel like we kind of already had the answer to that question with 2018's Ion, which for Portal was a pretty clean sounding record. The guitars were just like ringing through with a clarity that was just not really there on previous records. Like the detail and the playing, the embellishments was just so in your face. But what the band did with the extra space they gave themselves once they stripped back a lot of the murk was just play so freaking insane. But on Avow, Portal seems so much less encouraged to fill that space up, and I don't know why. It's there, why not fill it? Maybe this could be attributed to the drums and guitars sounding a bit heavier and beefier this time around. There is certainly more bass on this project, but in my opinion, this chunkier sound has led to a lot of playing that is somewhat tame. And again, a disappointing lack of sound play and atmosphere. Take, for example, the pacing of the guitars and drums on the track Bode, which is just so mind-numbing. Comparing this to hair-raising moments on Swarth, for example, this track is no scarier than a community-haunted house. Now, the lengthier moments on this LP do feature some more creative guitar work, but these tracks also hit pockets where it feels like they're going nowhere fast. Case in point, the rising dissonant chords around the middle of the intro track, which I love. Truly one of the most insane and dissonant moments on the entire LP, but after this the band struggles to do anything as engaging for the next 4 minutes. I will give it here to the curator's vocals, though, and on numerous other tracks from this LP. If anything on this record is really kind of holding things together, keeping shit sounding demonic as fuck, it's these vocals. Man, the curator just sounds like a beast on this LP, and in every Portal LP. There's just a whispery, ghostly throatiness to every howl and every scream throughout this project that is blood-curdling. But for as good as the vocals are, they're just not enough to make up for some of the drab backing instrumentation, especially on the drum side. Why do the drums sound so flat and lifeless on numerous tracks here? They don't have any bite or snap to them. There are at least a few tracks where the kicks and toms sound less like drums and more like fingers tapping on the top of a desk, and the audio is getting caught by a contact mic. There are a few other songs on the track list like I and Offoon that start off well enough, maybe even feature some experimental sound play, but both end up fizzling out in a somewhat untimely way. If I had to pick a track as a highlight from this project, it may be Manner of Speaking. As aggressive and as fast and as blistering as anything off Ion, this is also one of the few moments here where the bass and guitars don't just sound heavy, but thunderous. And yeah, while this track is long and there's a few mild passages here and there, even those moments are pretty twisted. The closing track has some ferocious moments as well, but overall I thought this record was barely passable for Portal, a very mild release for them. And I know a lot of the fans are going to disagree with this, but I'm not crazy about this record. I don't like it all that much. But then the ambient noise album they dropped in tandem with this, I like that one. I actually think it's markedly better than Avow. In some ways, the hellish noise and sound play the band engages in on that LP is kind of what's missing from Avow. The last track on the Noise record goes harder than pretty much every song on Avow. But again, given that one's not as much a metal record, I foresee a lot of people disagreeing with that one. Still though, when it comes to Avow, I'm feeling a strong 5 to a light 6. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head, it's another video you can check out. Hit that upworthy link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Portal, forever.